Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we're going to be frying up and cooking up some goodness for you with two recipes in one. Today we're going to be showing you how to make fried zucchini and to serve with it some delicious bacon chutney. You don't want to miss this, so stay tuned. Okay, to start the chutney, we want to take a pound of bacon, and I have just taken it out and cut it into small little pieces with my kitchen shears. You can do this with a knife on your cutting board if you want, but it's really just as easy just to hold it here and cut it with those kitchen shears that never get used. Just to be honest. So this is going to cook off a good bit of fat. And we'll let the bacon get good and crispy, and then we will drain it over here on a paper towel, and then we will discard of all but about a tablespoon of that bacon fat, and we will put it back in this pan and use this pan to make our chutney. We'll be back with more. All right, so here comes the fun part. So we have cooked our bacon until it's nice and crispy and drained it on a paper towel. Meanwhile, I have poured off the bacon grease and left about a tablespoon in there. Now, to the same skillet, because there are nice little bacon bits in the bottom there, we have added 1.5 cups of chopped red onion, and I like red because I like to keep everything about the same color. And then we have added in about a whole red bell pepper, anywhere from 1/2 cup to a cup, just depending on your preference. The recipe calls for 1/2 cup, but I like mine a little heavier on the red bell pepper just because it adds a bit more texture and sweetness. Now we have let those cook or sweat in that bacon grease for about 5 minutes. On low to medium heat, and now we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, and I like to do this toward the end, just simply because that garlic will burn before you know it. But my house smells amazing. So we're just going to allow this to cook just a minute more so that that garlic can infuse itself and all of its flavor and glory into those onions and sweet peppers. And then we're going to start adding in our components that make it a chutney. So what we will add in will be a combination of leftover coffee, apple cider vinegar, maple syrup, and brown sugar. And we will bring that to a boil, and we'll go ahead and start that now. I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Then we're going to add in 3/4 cup of leftover coffee. That can be cold or fresh brewed, it really doesn't matter. I use cold leftover coffee. Then we are going to add in 1/4 cup of maple syrup, just to sweeten the sweet up just a little bit more, and 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. And I like using the kind that has the mother in it. And then we will just stir this up and bring that to a boil. I'm going to just raise my temperature just a bit and allow that to boil. Ooh, didn't mean to bump the camera. It's a fun day here. Now I got to situate everything again. There we go. Okay, we're just going to bring that up to a boil, and then we're going to scrape the bottom of the pan. And that vinegar will help with this deglazing process. This is why I like to do this in the same pan that I cook the bacon in, because you have all those remnants of cooking the bacon, and you get all those good little bits of extra flavor off the bottom of the pan. So as that comes to a boil, we'll scrape and stir and deglaze the bottom of that pan. And it should happen pretty quickly because it was already good and hot when I added all that liquid in. Now, once it starts to boil, we'll allow it to boil probably for 2 to 3 minutes. Then we'll add our bacon back in and we'll lower the heat, and we will allow it to simmer on probably low heat for about 30 to 45 minutes. I'll keep an eye on it and watch it and stir it every so often. The way that you will know that it's ready is all of this liquid will be gone. So what we're doing is we're simmering it and allowing all of the water and moisture to cook off, so that we'll be left with a jelly or a jam-like consistency. Okay, we've started to boil, so I'm gonna add my bacon back in because I want it to get the full effect of all of that flavor that we added. Okay, we're gonna let this boil for 2 or 3 minutes. Then we're gonna lower it to simmer and allow it to simmer until all of that liquid is gone. And while we're doing that, we're gonna fry up some zucchini. So stay with us. One of the ways that we like to serve this bacon chutney is over fried zucchini or fried squash. And the method by which we make those is the same. Zucchini is a squash and zucchini is easily found all year long. This recipe makes probably about 2 cups of sliced zucchini or sliced yellow squash, but you can half it to do half that amount. What we've done today is we've taken one fairly large size zucchini and we have cut it into just probably 1/8 of an inch rounds, and I've set that to the side. Then here I have 2 eggs and 1 cup of milk, and that's my wet station. And then in my dry station I have 1 cup of self-rising cornmeal and 1 cup of plain flour, equal parts of flour and cornmeal. And I'm just going to mix those up just slightly. Now to that we're going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt. This is your chance to flavor your zucchini. So if these seem kind of heavy, that's why. Then we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of fresh cracked black pepper. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. It just gives it a little color and a little smoky flavor. I like adding it to anything that I'm breading. It makes it really, really good. And then here, our own Alabama-born hardened seasoning. We love this stuff. It's great on anything, chicken, steak, pork, and it's even better when you use it to fry vegetables. And I'll try to link their website in the show notes so that you can order your own hardened seasoning. Is so good. So we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of that in there. And then we just lightly mix all that up. And I probably should have gotten a bigger bowl, which is the story of my life. But we're going to get all those seasonings distributed throughout that cornmeal and that flour after I make a mess. It is messy Kitchen Monday after all. And I'm just gonna mix my wet mix up real good one more time. And then the method by which we do this is simple. I first like to drop these in the dry and then the wet, flip them over, let both sides get wet, let that excess run off, and then put them back in the dry. By doing that, I mean, I do my chicken this way too. I do dry, wet, and then dry again. And I'm just going to sit those to the side and let them rest. Now they're going to get goopy, but they need to rest about 5 minutes or so. So what I do is I try to pile them up in order of which ones I breaded first, because by the time we get done breading them all and start to fry them in batches, your very last ones will be done and have sat for 5 minutes. So I like to be organized whenever I'm doing this. I may not be organized doing anything else, but whenever I fry anything, I'm so careful. I really try to make sure that I've allowed everything to kind of rest together. So I'm going to get the rest. You get the gist. I'm going to get the rest of these battered, and then we'll head over to the fryer so you can see how they turn out. And there they are resting over on the side. So stay with us. All right, our oil is good and hot. I have a temperature gauge, or a thermometer rather. But if you don't, I was just going to show you, and I think I've shown y'all this before. You can take a wooden spoon and just simply place it into the oil, and if it starts to bubble, see how it's bubbling in there? Then your oil is probably ready. If you do have a way to measure the temperature, we suggest about 375 degrees. But either way, you're going to want to do this in batches and add them carefully and slowly, and don't crowd them. And this is only going to take 2 or 3 minutes. So we're going to let them cook on one side. And then we're going to flip them over and let them cook a bit more. All right, so there's my first little batch. And we're going to take these out and then just let them cool on a paper towel and drain. But it really doesn't take them long to cook at all. And I've got a good old slotted spoon I use, or you can use some tongs too if you'd like. We've got about 1 inch of oil in our pan. You can use whatever you'd like. We like canola oil or good old vegetable oil. Peanut oil is probably the best for heart health, but just use whatever you got on hand. I have done this in bacon grease. Sure have. Probably not the best, healthiest option, but it is what it is. You make a choice on any given day. All right, we're going to get all these flipped over, because if your oil is good and hot, it does not take them long. We're going to allow these to finish cooking, then we'll take them up and we'll put a little salt on them, just a tad, not much, and then we'll let them cool, and we'll come back and show you the finished product and how we serve them with that delicious bacon chutney. So that bacon chutney, when all the liquid was gone, I simply turned it off and let it cool. As it cools, it will thicken, and then I transferred it into a glass jar. Here it will continue to cool, and I'll pop the lid on it, and it'll last up to a week in the refrigerator. Now, once you refrigerate it, it's bacon, so it's going to collect some fat in there. So you may have to pop it in your microwave for just about 30 seconds and give it a stir, just so all that sediment from the bacon grease and all the sugars can kind of redistribute throughout. It's not preserved. The only thing that's in it is the natural pectin and the sugars that we added to it from the peppers and the onions. So don't let it stay in there about a week. I always fix this around the holidays. And these fried zucchini, they turned out perfect. So let's take a look at how we serve all this together. I like to get a fancy little bacon dish, or not a bacon dish, a serving dish, and then we just pop that bacon chutney, and look at me, I'm spilling it everywhere. I think I got more bacon than chutney on that piece. And just do it like some fancy little hors d'oeuvres. And then, and see why it's called the messy kitchen? I'm trying to put too much on each one. But y'all, they're gorgeous. They are beautiful and they taste even better. They really pack a large flavor in a small bite. Watch this. Mmm. Woo! That zucchini was still hot, and I think I burned the hide off my tongue. But y'all, burnt tongue and all, it's worth it. Smoky, sweet, just a little tang of something you can't quite put your finger on. They are fantastic. So, for 2 recipes in one, head over to thebutteredhome.com and look for our fried zucchini with bacon chutney. And these are a perfect addition to your holiday table as a small bite with some traditional Southern flair. And I mean, bacon, jam, chutney. How could you get more perfect than that? And that would be a really welcome, fancy little good surprise for everybody at your holiday table. This recipe, like all of our others, can be found over at thebutteredhome.com. We would sure appreciate a visit there. And as always, make sure you're following us on all of our social profiles. We have a lot of fun and we would love to have you subscribe to all of our channels. And if you want all of our videos in one convenient place, head over to YouTube, search for The Buttered Home, and hit that subscribe button when you find us so that you can be notified when we drop new videos like this one. Okay, time for more for me. Let me make sure I don't burn myself. Y'all have a great week, and until the next time, from the buttered home to your home, we sure love y'all. Bye.